Hello everyone, the purpose of this video is to offer some extra guidance about the course project. If we go to the course project final project guidance link, it takes you here, which most of you have probably already reviewed so far. There is a file here that gives you the same information as what we'll talk about below. So for the project, what we're talking about is you doing a PowerPoint presentation, but also a case statement document, so we'll explain that. So there's 3 points to the PowerPoint presentation: the internal case, the external case, and then the case expression. Now those parallel the sections of your book, so that's where the information exists to show you exactly what would go there. But what we've done is we've built the rubric to capture the components you would want to have. Now the purpose of the PowerPoint presentation is for you to share with your colleagues in the class to see what project you did your particular case for support on. So all you want to do is build a PowerPoint presentation and start with a slide on your mission, your plan, your program. And then of course the rubric is about how well you stated that. That doesn't need to be much more than a bullet or a couple of bullets. Then what your solution is with regard to what you're trying to do. And again, the case for support internally is about convincing people you work with that you should pursue this as a plan or a program. Urgency, how important is it that people in the organization get on board to make this happen? And then the need for donors. There's different ways to get money, and in some cases maybe you don't need donors. But in cases where you do need significant amounts of support, you would pose the argument that there's no alternative and your organization must go after donors. So again, that internal case is for internal consumption in your nonprofit organization. The second part of the PowerPoint is the external case for support. Now all you're doing here is offering some bullets that summarize the items that appear in your case statement document, and that'll come up next in our discussion here. So again, that could be just 1 or 2 PowerPoint slides so that somebody going through your whole presentation can say, okay, here's your internal case for support. Now here's your external case for support in terms of what you're going to tell donors, and then there's this third part we'll get to. So part 2B in that process then is the case statement. The best illustration at your fingertips right now is pages 228 and 229 in your textbook, or the corresponding pages where it talks about the, corresponding pages in an online text, where it talks about the Rhode Island Women's Fund case for support. So that's an example of what a case statement document looks like. And I think if you read the Gonzer and Gerber bulletin piece as well as the book, the case statement isn't supposed to be all that long, but it has to be compelling. So you're meeting with the donor, you're giving it for donor consumption, and the idea is to get their attention quickly and create a case for support where people react emotionally. As the rubric shows, visually engaging, speaks to the donor in compelling language, so forth and so on. So the general appearance is important with regard to that. Then we get to the problem or opportunity. So the whole issue with the rubric says is these are the components that you should have in your case for support. Now they don't have to be just one after another with different headings in the document itself. Do what you think is most creative. But for the most part, you should have all of those types of components in the case for support. If you don't have all of them or you're missing 1 or 2, that's no big deal, but you want to make sure you get the important ones in there. So again, case for support is a 1 or 2 page document that you'll submit in addition to your PowerPoint presentation, and that's what your instructors will look at to assess whether or not you've made a compelling argument for the people that would give you money. And then finally, we go back to the PowerPoint presentation, and you just go to your book there and answer the questions with regard to the 4 pillars. Does it accurately and compellingly present the vision, the enemy, the hero, the recipient, and so forth? There's a table in the book that describes what you would do there, and you could take that structure and put that in the PowerPoint, and that would take care of it. So all that's happening here is in the presentation, you are showing other people your whole thought process as to why you would do this, why you go after donors, and how it all works relative to the case expression. Okay, so if you have other questions, please feel free to ask those. What we want to avoid is giving you examples that would basically force you to do it just like you saw in the example. So this is an opportunity to be creative with regard to offering a presentation and a compelling document that people would look at and say, yeah, that sounds great. I'd really like to be part of that and make a contribution. But again, feel free to post more questions here. And what Rachel did in the discussion area is the right thing to do. General questions. Post that there if you have other questions about what we've said so far, and we'll do our best to get back to you with those answers. I do want to point out before I leave you that in the syllabus we've built in time for you to prepare this. So after Monday the 19th, there will be no more textbook lessons, and then you've got an entire week of lesson time devoted toward you preparing the final project. So that should give you enough time to get it posted and have other people take a quick look at it and for us to get it graded. Thanks for your time.